Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you all have an amazing day. We're starting off, we've got the black pieces against the 1742 from Italy. We have an E4 and let's play a Scandi. Let's play a Scandi. Why not? We've not done that in a while. And obviously we go for the knight F6 line. And to start off we get a bishop B5 check. So this is an interesting little variation. Because the bishop's coming back to c4 basically, and they could have done this straight away, but they wanted to make us block off our queen, so we can't take straight away. So we just block with the bishop basically, and we're threatening to take the bishop, and they are fine with that apparently. So we'll just take it with the queen. It's important to note that you do not take with the knight, because after c4, knight b6, there is no real opportunity to take this pawn, or this one, or this one, and it's just not good. So you take with your queen, and I have made that mistake plenty of times before until I decided not to make that mistake anymore. And that's sort of how the game sort of goes, really. And I think here we just play a c6. Followed by, obviously, a knight takes, and then we want to play an e5, like as soonish as we can, and sort of make this d pawn into a backwards pawn because they've committed to c4. They're not going to be able to go d4 because our knight's going to be on c3, c6. Sorry, so they're not going to be able to play e4. Yeah, it's an okay position. You know, we're down a pawn, but we like being down a pawn, don't we? Because we get activity, activity. You know, if we play it right. And we're just going to go ahead and play e5 here. Pretty simples, I think. I hope. Queen e2 is something to watch out for. Although bishop d6, castles, we're not particularly scared. We are not particularly scared. I don't think. I really hope we're not scared. Yeah, so they castle. And yeah, we could potentially go e4, although after that, the pawn's going to be on a light square and we're going to have trouble defending it. So we need to figure out what we're doing. Probably a bishop d6, followed by castles. Yeah, they still can't take that because we have this bishop check with the discovered on the queen. So that's all good. So we'll play bishop d6. And yeah, we need to hold this pawn in the center, basically. The knight coming there isn't too much of a threat, I don't think. If it comes there, we're happy to trade off and double isolate these pawns. We can play an a6 if necessary to stop the knight coming into b5. But yeah, it's not that scary, I don't believe. A fianchetto is probably a good idea for them, although d3 with the bishop coming this way could work as well. But you need to sort of support this pawn anyway, so one of these moves are coming. I doubt they would bother with a rook out straight away, simply because it's defended. So it's not really threatening anything, I don't think. But yeah, we need them to make a move, I guess. We need them to make a move. Yeah, so they go with d3. And this is fine here. We just want to keep that there, basically. That's our plan. Our grand design, you could say. I think castle's in order. Which way we castle is interesting. It's a bit scary to castle queenside, although it looks pretty darn fun after e4. Because we are threatening to sort of win a rook for a bishop after bishop check. So pawn takes, bishop check, king takes, queen takes, rook takes, rook takes. We would be up the exchange. Very possible. Very possible. Although, you know, the queen side is weak. So, let's go Rook d8. Possible. H6 to stop bishop there seems passive, which we don't want. We're not passive players no more. We're active players, you know, and that's a conscious thing you've got to choose. You've got to be choosing to be active. So let's go rook d8. Yes, let's go rook d8, and we still have these ideas as well. And now we're gonna force to castle kingside. Either that or we don't castle, but that's not gonna work out, is it? You kind of need to castle in chess. That's the reason why the move was invented. Otherwise, it's gonna be a first come first serve. This just looks good now. They can take this all they want. The knight's going nowhere fast, and we're free to just take this pawn. So I don't see why we can't just play e4. Bosh, bosh, bosh. That's my catchphrase, and it's very, very dubious me saying bosh because I feel like I'm being smart, but oftentimes I'm not being smart. So we'll see how it goes. I think e4 just is fine, and we just win the exchange here. Yeah, we just win the exchange. They can double our pawns, which is interesting. Very interesting, but yeah. They could have potentially played e5 there, although I could probably just take and then takes or check. Something along those lines. We're threatening to take this. We're threatening to go knight there. And you'll see this knight is pinned to the rook. So this just looks fine for us. I don't see why we would be unhappy with this position. I'm not unhappy with it at all. Yeah, pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed. So they can either choose to save their rook with an a3, or they can choose to save their pawn with bishop takes. Although bishop takes, pawn takes, they could probably just play a3 then. So I think that's probably the way to go for them. I also have potentially check, but I would rather go knight b4. It just looks better. And we haven't castled, so maybe we won't castle after all of that, you know? Maybe we won't castle after all of that. So material-wise, we are only up a pawn worth of material. Because they have got a pawn out of it. And if you don't know the piece values, I don't think I've actually talked about piece values yet. Pawns are worth one pawn. A pawn is worth one of itself. Minor pieces, so that's your bishops and your knights, they are worth 3 generally. Depends on the situation. They are generally worth 3. And rooks are worth 5 pawns. And then queens, I believe, are either 8 or 9. Not quite sure. But yeah. So an exchange, which is a minor piece for a rook. So that's 3 points versus 5 points. So that's 2 points difference. Maths with Jacob, you know. Oh, I also have knight there, which is tricky. So yeah, and then they got a pawn as well. So they're now 1 pawn difference. So we are up 1 pawn's worth of material. However, it's much worse than that for them. Much worse than that. This is a killer. You're hitting this pawn. You're threatening to displace the knight from defending the rook. Displace the rook from defending the knight, I should say. That is a good move. Good move, actually. I think king e7, and we get the rook to d8. They still pin, so yeah, you've fixed your problem temporarily. But to what end, you know? To what end? And we can drop the knight back, and we can go a different way round, potentially. Similar thing. Or we can just get rook h to d8 and go for the exchange. That way, yeah, I think. Knight there is coming. Which point maybe a rook c1 and just hit this pawn. Or we could just take the free knight. You know, that would work as well. What are they looking to push that? I'm feeling maybe a rook d3. Can't be hit by a knight. It's hitting this pawn. And it's stopping the rook go to b3 itself. Which is very good. So we just boxed this guy in. And actually, knight there is mate. Surprisingly, knight there is mate. Which is absolutely devastating. Unfortunately, knight there is not mate if they push the pawn because the knight's still covering. And they go there. Huh. So I'm going to go there, and we're maybe still threatening some stuff. And at worst, we undouble our pawns, which can only be a good thing. They can try to trade off, which we would happily take. And then we can pick up this pawn. This is interesting. King there. Nah. We could also take and then take. Would work potentially. King there with a pawn push doesn't really work. Let's just take and be done with it. Let's just take and be done with it and win the pawn. Win the pawn, we can start to double up this way and win this pawn. I think that's probably the smarter way to do it rather than messing about with tactics and all that. Who needs tactics, you know? Who needs tactics? Just win pawns, you know? Just win pawns. You don't need anything else. Yeah, we go in there. There's no knight checks really that I'm scared of. Don't duo for them. Get rook there covering the pawn break, but it's slow for them. Yeah, either could work. In fact, if we can get a rook on these two and just absolutely obliterate those two pawns, that would be absolutely lovely for me. Please and thank you. That would be a delight, let's say. A delight. That's a good word. Yeah, but I think our friend here is struggling a bit. That's a good move. Freeing up the only space they can free up. And yeah, there you still can't go anywhere though. Everywhere's covered. After you go for that, everywhere's covered. You have potential rook there. Is interesting, although f6 seems good as well, or just rook e1 could work. We could also push Although that's sort of letting the knight in. Or we could just ignore it. We could just ignore it and continue with the old plan of bullying the rook. Choices. We have choices. We have choices. Lots of choices. Yeah. Lots and lots of choices. Sorry if you can hear the wind as well. I think we're on a yellow amber warning for wind. I think Ireland has got it pretty bad with a red warning. I hope everyone in Ireland, if I have any Ireland viewers, I hope they're okay anyway, regardless of whether they're a viewer or not. You know, the Irish are very cool people. I need to make a decision. I seriously need to make... Let's take the pawn. I don't see why we can't take the pawn. It looks sound enough. And then we'll push the pawn. Take the pawn, push the pawn. That's the way we roll. That is the way we roll. Take the pawn, push the pawn. God, I'm losing my mind. I'm pretty sure I'm losing my mind with this game. Not this game, just chess in general. What sort of person would be obsessed with a game about knights and horses? But yeah, it's stupid. Let's take the open file. Do we want to take the open file? We probably want to take the open file. Well, we can. We don't want to give them any sort of counterplay, really. Avoid it the best we can. Try be smart about it, you know? That's how the grandmasters play. They don't let anything happen. Would I be okay winning a pawn with the exchange? Possibly. Although, no. Not really. Yeah. Where are the checks? Where are the checks? Where are the checks? Look for the checks. I think we can just go there. I would like to just checkmate the king, to be honest. I'd like to just checkmate the king. I don't think that's quite possible yet, though. Let's move on up. Let's move on up. Why not? Why the heck not? Keep moving. An active king, you know, they say it's the most powerful piece is a king. Where is this knight going? It's going on an adventure. An adventure. You're going there, maybe? I don't see why I can't go there. Threaten some back rank activities. Threaten this pawn. Seems good to me. I don't think there's any forks that can be done. So let's go with it. They go there. I'm fine going there. Same threats of the back rank. And that's sort of scary. That's sort of scary for white, to be honest. Sort of scary for white. And you are, in fact, I think, losing just a knight with this variation. Because you can't escape the back rank unless you lose your knight. Because this rook's doing the Lord's job, Lord's work, cutting off this king. So that rook h4, king goes back, and then bosh. El bosh. Yeah, let's just mate. Just mate him. Amazing. Absolutely beautiful. Wonderful. Spectacular. How many more adjectives do I know? I don't think I know any more. I didn't pay attention in English class. And yeah, pretty nice. Good stuff. Good to see the Scandi still works its tricks. And there are a lot of tricks in the Scandi. Definitely would recommend taking a look at that if you haven't already. My older videos probably know a bit more theory, and you'll see a bit more action from the Scandi, because we've started playing E5 and they just resigned, which is fair enough. Unlucky, my friend. It was a good game. Good game. And let's analyze. So we have a 73.8 versus an 80.5. And Scandi, yeah. So we've said this. We block with the bishop. And the line is actually they can go back to either of these. I usually go back to E2. And at that point we go to F5. And we just developed a piece for free, basically. Thank you very much. And we're still hitting the pawn. And then we always have C6 as an idea as well. And if they decide to move back and check again, at that point we move the knight. Because you can actually choose to move your knight or the bishop at the start. But the problem with moving your knight is that you blocked your bishop in, and it's going to a bit of an ugly square on b6. In fact, we can go through this. So they go back, and you go there. So if they decide to go again, you move your knight out. It's fine. You could potentially also play a c6, although it's dubious. But yeah, so you can actually just choose to block with either of these. If I can draw an arrow. Gosh. Yeah, you can block with either of these here. It's fine. I think c6 is an option, although if the other one was dubious, this is ridiculously dubious, because you've not gotten anything out of that. They've not made any weakening moves or anything. You're just sacrificing a pawn for very little compensation. So don't do that. Please play bishop out is the more simpler one to play. Knight move is also good, but a bit harder because you've misplaced knight. But anyway, so they did the wrong thing by taking. They go back to c4 or to either of these squares, and then we sack the pawn for the compensation. And we play this like you play. I'm not sure what the name for it. Lichess, I think, calls it a panel transfer. Chess.com, I think, calls it a Scandinavian gambit. Don't know. But it's basically c5 straight off the bat, and then you play c6. So it sort of transfers. But apparently e5 here is e4 here is good. We can have a look at that. Knight to e1 rather than knight to g5. Oh, then you just kick it, yeah, and you go back. And then you keep harassing it, I guess. And you got a good attack going. Okie dokie. Knight back, and then apparently you just pick up this pawn. Fair enough. Fair enough. I will remember that for next time. But they play d3 like they should. We'll go on to review so we can see the funny little moves. And apparently queenside castle was the way to go. That's risky business, that is. Risky business. But the whole point is you pick up this. But this looks so sketchy, especially with the open file. Yikes. You know, I don't think that's a very pleasant position to be in at all. Okay. Yeah, so e4 doesn't work here because of queen e2. And yeah, they are in fact just winning the pawn and our compensation. So we made a bit of a mistake here. It's fine, they didn't go for it. And we're just sort of winning here. It's 3.5 for us. And yeah, nasty stuff. Apparently knight a5 doesn't work, for the very reason that was played out. And if you want to go through this, so the knight has come back to defend its friend, so that the rook can be moved up to a3, unpinning the knight from the rook, and then after maybe a b4, the knight can now come free because the rook is defending the knight. That is a bit of a cluster truck, but yeah, so we moved up. We didn't want a castle. There's no point. We want an active king. And then b4 is exactly the right thing to do. And yeah, there's some tactics here of maybe taking, but none of them quite work out. And they do exactly the right thing. I'm not sure bringing the rook up was a good idea, although that's what created the mate at the end, so maybe it was. The knight's coming in, and we just threatening some sort of mate if the knight moves, and if we trade off, it's just fine. We're undoubling our pawns. And yeah, this is a bit awkward here. So they've freed up all their pieces, and these knights are actually quite tricky because they're defending each other, and there's potentially some sort of forking opportunities as well. Like if the king ever moves, fork, bosh, So it's tricky. So I was just happy to trade one off there, although it doesn't say it's good, but the computer doesn't have any fear at all. And we just take the pawn because why not? And this is an interesting little push because there are a few tricks to it. But after f6, we took the open file, which apparently isn't good because we allow the rook to sort of get out. But I guess that weakens these two pawns. And rook d4 apparently is better, which I think we played anyway, eventually. But yeah, the knight comes back, and that's really annoying because we can't go anywhere. This rook's frozen. We can't get to any of the open files. So we would have to go this way round, which is yucky. And we move up, which apparently is just a blunder. Oh, because of the fork on. Yeah, I told you knights are tricky. Knights are extremely tricky, but they didn't go for that. And they played these horrible sequence of moves with the knight check. They're just looking for checks, for mistakes, which they just missed one anyway. But yeah, it's just mate. As simple as. I don't think we really need to go over a game. I don't think that was too complicated, really. And we sort of know this line inside out. I say that we made some terrible mistakes, but they were subtle enough, and our opponent was rushing enough as to not see them. So in my book, that's perfectly fine. I am kidding, by the way. That's not a good thing to do. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.